Yo guys, what is up? It's London from LNTV, and it's time for a redemption review. In case you guys missed it last week, I am going to be reviewing every Top Notch Babysitter installment up until the release of Melissa in Charge, which will be releasing on January 13th of next year. And until that day comes, I will be reviewing every single Top Notch Babysitter review. And I have some announcements. There's going to be a switch up in schedule coming up soon. Sorry about that, but I noticed that next week I'm having a special guest review, Fifth Gen. That's still happening on order. And then I'm going to be reviewing the new Bully and then Melon Charge out of a different order. And because Melon Charge's second anniversary late party celebration is coming up soon. So I want to do it on that day after I go to that big event. So with that being said, the project we're looking at today is from April 26th of 2019, is Top Notch Babysitter 4th Gen 1. Now, this film showed them yet again going back to their a little bit edgier, a little bit grittier, a little bit darker roots with this particular film, while also maintaining a little bit of a positive light atmosphere to it during certain elements that were very bare and brief. Now, what I will talk about, this film has a lot of hidden gems to it. The villain, Kevin Fitch, is fantastic. The production is fantastic. Corey herself as a new main character after Evie's absence is fantastic. A lot of this movie feels like they're really pulling things together and really bringing it in for this one. But what really surprised me about this one is that the demo and the trailer for this movie was shown on Skyworks Kids Choice Awards in the year of 2019, even after the film came out, as one of the best movies of the year, and it rightfully so deserved that. I mean, yes, this film was less successful than the previous three films, but I feel like that's more of an issue with the quality of the film than it was with the storyline. The quality of the film definitely is really, really new and interesting, and that's what really makes this film work. Its quality is definitely new. It's definitely interesting. It's a new direction for a top-notch babysitter to go in. A little bit more of a, how do I say, industrial type feel with a construction site, and just a little bit more of that workaholic in ya feel. This movie definitely works a little bit better because it only has a limited amount of things to focus on. However, the movie is an hour and 45 minutes long, but it has a lot to do in that time span that's really interesting and engaging for the fans. This movie definitely is one film that I definitely feel like did not deserve the underratedness it got. In fact, this film is so high up there that it has the most underrated of moments that still I come back to, even more so than on the last film. This film has so many good moments in it that just feel so well executed and well handled. Like the scenes where they're in montage. There is one scene I want to talk about that really is my favorite, and that is one of the scenes in this movie, which is the build-up to the finale. The build-up to the finale in this movie leaves everybody hanging with a cliffhanger, wondering, like, is the company going to get rebuilt? Is this the end? The company's been broken down by the construction crew who just tore through and destroyed everything. This movie has such a cliffhanger that and after this they went on hiatus too for almost a year until they released their next project, leaving everybody wondering, will this ever come back? Which, yes, that's kind of a lot of a W move, because they definitely really did that in a cliffhanger way that's just so good of a cliffhanger way, because it leaves you wondering for so long, is this coming back? Is it ever going to happen? And yes, this movie, part of that had to do with sales. I think this movie was very sold well on DVD more than it did in the theaters, but it's such a bombastic film. And on streaming services too, this thing was very successful on streaming services on Skyworks Plus, like the previous three films were, and this was no exception to that rule, from what I remember. This movie really shows them at their finest, and heck, I gotta stick up for even the most underrated moments on here. Even the demo scene, that I gotta say is probably my least favorite part of the movie. Sure, it does drag on a bit where she's running back and forth in the construction site, but it's not as annoying as a demo scene we'll get into later on this list. But it's just one that I feel like really is interesting of a demo scene. It's very, very good in terms of length. That makes it a little bit more enjoyable. This movie all around is a longer movie. Yes, probably the longest film they had up until this point. But it's so diverse in narrative and just the way it's settled with like a little bit of both worlds, but a little bit less of that one world. It's such an interesting approach that really only a franchise like Top Notch Babysitter can pull off. Honestly, a lot of the production on this movie feels very much like industrial with that construction worker atmosphere to it. Sorry, I had to cough. There are some really big moments on here with a big production value that really kind of sinks in to you and just feels like a hook that will never let go. Honestly, a lot of this movie is just so well produced. It's one of the most enjoyable things I will ever know about this franchise. In fact, I'm definitely going to be scoring this a very good score. So this movie is one of my favorites. Sorry, actually, and it's a 3 out of 3, honestly. I think this movie is a 10 out of 10, basically. It's really well produced. It's so energetic. The production is very interesting, and I think this movie definitely deserved a lot more appraisal than it got. And the movie next week was just as good. Top Notch Babysitter really knew what they were doing with these two films in terms of quality. Sure, they were different and diverse, and I can't even explain that enough. This one felt like it was more well perceived, but it definitely rightfully so deserved that because this film is really good. Next film we'll talk about next week, 5th Gen, and I'll have a special guest on here. But we're going to be talking about that movie next, 5th Gen 1. And yeah, see you then. This movie's definitely a 10 out of 10. I highly recommend it. See you next time. Peace.